I'm back again today. I'm going to talk about this fantastically beautiful necklace I'm going to make, which you'll understand in just a moment. And I'm going to talk about a book that I'm in the process of rereading. I read it about a year ago or so. About a year ago. It was last summer. And I'm rereading it just because I can't stop thinking about it. And I wasn't sure some of the details. And so anyways, the book is Power by Naomi Alderman. It came out in 2017. It was recommended to me by a very good friend. Hey Liz. And I just will be forever thankful for that. So the book Power is about women's power, but also just power in general and how that shapes and affects genders and society and individuals. So I wanted to go with something, a necklace that had a powerful statement. So I have this huge, it's like 2.5 inches, huge coral, branch coral, which again, you'll kind of get that here in a hot minute. But it's a big branch coral. Here's the hole, so it's going to kind of sit like this as a pendant, and then I'm going to put this piece of wood, this bead, that's actually a piece of wood. So it's going to be wired, and then the piece of wood, and then maybe a piece of, this is called moss agate, and then the necklace will kind of be from there. Say, ooh, pretty. Okay, so I'm going to put these off to the side. I'm going to have to make the necklace first and then attach this. It's going to be a fun thing to do. So we're just going to put this off to the side. And I wanted to show you moss agate. You can see all the different variations. And for some of you that aren't familiar with it, this is actually a piece of moss agate, a really good piece. This right here is almost quartzy. There's some pinks and lavenders that kind of run through up here with some dark greens. And I brought a flashlight because I wanted to show y'all that it's like almost, it's layered. It's like almost see-through, I guess, in spots, because it's called moss agate because like down here you can see that it looks like moss running through it. And like I said, it's got this great layered look to it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So anyways, you don't really get that full effect in the smaller round beads. It's a lot better in a flat cabochon like this. But you can still see the subtleties to some extent when you get up close to these guys. So I love working with them. If I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong, like this one has a little bit of like almost red in it, and it's like dotted. If I'm not mistaken, this is the same type that makes up like bloodstone. So anyways, I'm probably wrong. Also, I wanted to say that the last episode I posted, I talked about cold cases, which I'm still reading and almost done and so super excited about. The author, I pronounced her name wrong. It's Shayna Roth. Cold Cases by Shayna Roth. Okay, so I have my wire that I straightened with my wire straightener that you all know that I love so much. So let's get started. I'm excited about starting this piece. Sometimes I get a little nervous when I start a new piece because I don't want to screw it up. And also, what's in your brain doesn't always come out. And sometimes that can be frustrating. And then you get upset with a piece that really is beautiful, but it's not the beautiful that's in your head. And so it's almost like you don't even give it a chance. So I get a little nervous sometimes, but I'll try not to be too stumbly nervous. Anyway, so this book, The Power by Naomi Alderman, like I said, it came out in 2017. it's while I was reading it, it's just an incredible story, but it's an incredible story that's written really well too. And you don't always get both, I feel like. But here you get both. So while I was reading it, I really was starting to get a huge Margaret Atwood vibe. And not only because of the subject matter, but, feminism is essentially woman power, women taking their power, women losing their power, whatever the case may be. It feels very Atwood in that sense. But Atwood's also a great storyteller, obviously. So I just was getting this strong Atwood vibe. And then I was doing some research on the book a few months ago. See, that's how much I love this book. And it turns out that Alderman was actually won some kind of award or something, and she was able to have Atwood as a mentor for her writing for a while. So that would explain part of that too. So anyways, the story starts off, it's essentially a manuscript within a book. It starts off with this dude, Neil, who's writing a letter to like Naomi, who's not the author. Naomi might be, whatever, but like a book agent. And he's like, hey, he's very like passive in his letter, but he basically says, I've written nonfiction this whole entire time. My fans would really like it if I wrote some historical fiction. And so we have that thing that happened 5,000 years ago. And here's all this archaeological evidence that I used to back up a historical fiction story about that actual event that we know that happened 5,000 years ago. This is how I imagine, though, it happened. And, she kind of blows him off a little bit, but she's like, all right, well, let me see what you got. One down. So cute. And so then the next chapter starts the actual manuscript. So this is the bulk of the story we're reading is his manuscript. So we've got four main characters who kind of tell the story through their own experiences. We've got Allie, who eventually becomes known as Eve. She's a teenager in the U.S. Let's see, Margot, who is a mayor. She's an adult woman. She's a mayor of a city in Wisconsin. And see, I'm all into this story. I'm forgetting that I'm actually making jewelry too. And she eventually rises through the political ranks and is able to influence a lot. Then Roxy, who's a teenager in England, her family is kind of like gangsters, black market. I don't know. They don't do things totally legally. And then Tunde, who is a male, he's in Nigeria when the story starts. He's a journalist. Or a wannabe journalist, but becomes a journalist. So Tunde's line is really good. His storyline is really good because he's a male, so he's able to tell the story of, from the male perspective, the things that start happening to males. But because he's a journalist, he's able to kind of go in and out of different countries and different situations to kind of tell what's going on throughout the world, while we're focused on the three other main people who are kind of, I don't want to say stay in the same spot, but kind of their stories are a little bit more restrictive. Please don't come to me for literary English advice, because we already know I'm not very good at this. But so what ends up happening essentially is that all over the world, women start gaining this power And it's this, I'm not giving out a whole lot, although there might be some spoilers in here. It's essentially an electrical charge that comes out of their hands. So a literal power. And when their like emotions are heightened. And so like Allie, she has abusive and lives in an abusive situation. And when things get really bad at one point, that's when her power comes through her hands and she's able to take charge of her situation and run away. Roxy, another horrifying moment comes up for her family, her and her mom, and she's able, all of a sudden she has this power, this electricity that comes out of her hands too. So it just starts kind of happening all over the world to these young women and women alike. And the stories that they tell, that Tunde tells, but even that you see Allie, Roxy, and then eventually Margot go through, you can't help. You feel it in your bones. Anyways, so because of this literal power, then they start to gain obviously metaphorical power. And of course, the people in power, the males of the world, they are not happy about it. So there's lots of wars and revolutions that start happening. In the meantime, Allie ends up landing in a convent for sanctuary, and this is where she starts combining her actual spirituality and religion with what's happening to her, and realizing that she can also use her electricity to heal people. So she rapidly becomes a leader, a spiritual leader, and then an overall leader. And this is also where she starts being, the whole Eve persona starts coming through. Roxy's a badass, just a badass, but she's a badass that just, if there's, obstacle upon obstacle upon obstacle that's placed in front of her, and she just overcomes them, and no matter how much she's beaten down. But why does she, this is my question that I've questioned a lot of people, why do these obstacles have to be placed in front of women? Why does she have to be beaten down only to get back? Like, how many times does she have to do that to prove? Anyways, Margot, eventually, she's the mayor from Wisconsin. She starts setting up training camps to, like, basically train these women to use their powers in, like, a militaristic way. Yeah. And like I said, Roxy just keeps on getting knocked down. She keeps on getting back up, but she keeps on getting knocked down. And so obviously that does something to her too. In the meantime, all this is going on, and there is a small country, Moldova. It's in Eastern Europe, and it's an actual country. And the wife of the president of Moldova basically ousts her husband and takes over, which is good. Good or bad, but good. And people start taking notice of that because it's a huge power move. But she also begins policies of pretty much eradicating men, which not so good. Tunde ends up there. Basically, they all end up there through various different circumstances and reasons. And so while they initially supported her, or Allie/Eve did, this whole eradication of men thing is not very good. And like I said, Tunde ends up there, and as a male traveling, he ends up realizing the perils of being a man traveling alone. I swear she doesn't write it quite as on the nose as I talk about it, but Allie decides, no, you can't just go and do this. We need to figure out a different way. And she gets rid of Tatiana, but she also says, like, the only way for us to take power and for it not to be all of these little mini wars all over the place that could last forever, she's like, I'm just gonna burn it all to the ground. So she encourages this mass destruction of the world as we know it. Burn it all down in order to rebuild it. Sounds a little contemporary, doesn't it? Sometimes you just need to burn it to the ground in order, because sometimes there's just no changing, there's no transforming, there's just burning it all to the ground. Anyways, so then the story ends pretty much with Naomi, the literary agent or book agent or whatever, making a comment to Neil about the manuscript that lets you know that no matter how much things change, no matter who's in power, gender or individual, like, some things just don't change. And that's a big theme throughout the book. Like, Allie/Eve, she was in a really bad situation before she escaped. She really, there are times that come up that you're like, is she using her power, her newly found power, to gain power? Or is she true to the power? Is it really something? Is she really a spiritual leader? Or is it a combination of both? And that makes you then, think about, our politicians. Obviously not the current one in charge, but, our politicians or our spiritual leaders, do they start out with the best intentions? Do they still think they have the best intentions? Like, just sometimes power does something to somebody, or in order to stay in power and in order to get these good things to get done, do these other things have to get done in the meantime? It brings up a lot of really good questions. If women did run the world, would we run it any better than men? Would we, we'd like to think that the world would be a little bit softer of a place. Would it really be? I personally think it would be. So, I don't know, it's really good. So, read the book. I strongly recommend it. Like I said, I'm on my second read through of it. Okay, so the reason I picked this stuff for the necklace, though, when we're talking about this book, is because when these women have this power, this electrical charge that comes out of their hands, the scarring on their hands is electrical scarring. Like when you see those pictures of people that have been struck by lightning, it ends up being like a tree, like a branches out. And that's what happens to these women, the palms of their hands. Which, of course, made me want to get that tattoo on my hand. And then everybody talked me out of it because whatever. But so it's kind of, the tree is the symbol. So that's why I picked the branch coral, the moss agate, because of the way the agate moves through the rock, or the green moves through the rock. It branches out, and I got my own little symbolism going on over here, just in case you didn't pick it up beforehand. So yeah, even like the discussion about power and the individual, like they're even with Margot who the mayor of, of a Wisconsin town, like, okay, so she has the best intentions too, and she wants to raise up womanhood. So she starts military camps. Like, is that really the best way to raise up, womanhood? Yes. You have to meet people where they're at sometimes. But does giving these women who, giving them power, who have actual power to dominate, that it doesn't balance the power, it actually flips the power then. Oh, I'm telling you, this book is good. You will be thinking about it for a very, very long time. There's going to be a Hulu special on it, and within the next 10 years, I promise you. You heard it here first. Maybe you didn't. I don't know. I've tried not to go down too many rabbit holes with this book, especially knowing that I wanted to do an episode of my own YouTube video on it. So I've tried not to go down too many rabbit holes because I didn't want to get influenced too much by what others said. But it's good. It's really good. You should add it to your collection. The first time I listened to it on Audible, and the second time I'm actually reading it. Both versions. Oh man, I just got my nail. Both versions are good. Sometimes one sucks over the other one. Sorry, I just clipped my nail. So that's pretty much what I've been doing there, and I've been reading Cold Cases by Shana Roth. I cleaned my work desk. I know you guys can only see like this specific space, but lately I've been very lazy about putting stuff away, and I had no flat surface other than this very small square on my workspace. I've been taking necklaces apart, like old necklaces that I didn't like, and just leaving the mountain of beads, or working on different things and grabbing 4 or 5 beads and only using one and leaving the rest on the table. It was just a hot mess. So over the past couple days, I have spent probably hours, definitely hours, I don't know how many, cleaning that up. And of course napping with the cat, because wouldn't be a day in my life if I didn't nap with the cat. She actually came in here earlier and yelled at me, and when I started paying attention to her, it was just because she wanted to sit on my lap. So, she did that the other night while I was having a video chat with friends. Just screamed at me the whole entire time for attention. And peanut butter. Her new obsession is peanut butter. What do you guys think? Pretty, huh? Ooh. I just saw a local shop had advertised something about Labor Day, and I came to the realization that Labor Day's just right around the corner, and I got upset because I don't feel like I took advantage of summertime enough. I feel that way most summers, but this summer I think I just had a lot more plans for this summer than I usually do. So I think that kind of bummed me out a little bit. I had to keep reminding myself that I'm not the only one who's experiencing this pandemic. So, because I feel very guilty for not leaving the house more. I feel very upset that I'm not able to do more. And I have to remember it's a pandemic, and it's not only happening to you. So it's been very hard to make new friends because, as far as I'm concerned, everybody else is a petri dish, and I don't want to get near them. I am going to the library again tomorrow to pick up a bunch of books. which will be happy. It makes me happy. It kind of feels like Friends. You know, books are always friends. Yeah, this is going to be a short one. I think it's going to be like a little choker. Not totally, but maybe 17, 18 inches, probably 18 inches. Because the pendant is so large, with it being about 2.5 inches. Plus this, I mean, we're looking at a good solid 4-inch, 3.5-inch hanging. So you don't want it too long. So just don't run with it. Oh man, can you imagine that hitting you in the face when you run? I think I'm falling madly in love with this necklace, though, by the way. I was taking pictures of earrings today. Yes, I finally got around to taking pictures of earrings. I was playing with how I take the pictures and the backgrounds I use, and so I'm going to post some of those later today and then see if I like them. Then I'll go ahead and retake all the rest of the pictures. Oh, that sounds so overwhelming. But I was showing a friend some of the earrings that I made. She was like, I'll take those. Thank you very much. Which is always fun when a friend does that. But I want my friends to buy all of my stuff. I want everyone to buy all my stuff. But I'm like, man, these are really good earrings. I gotta post them. Let me take some pictures with them first. She's a sweet lady. I like her. She's super supportive. It's nice to have supportive friends. Yeah, I like this, guys. I think I'm digging on it. I think I hope I have enough of these left, because even without the pendant, I think I'm going to make another one of these without the pendant, just plain. It's pretty fantastic. It's making me happy. Aww. Anyways. Oh, all right. I think I've talked your ear off enough. So I'm going to continue making this necklace. I'll probably have it posted within a handful of days. I'm also waiting for some more silver to come in. Silver wire to come in. So hopefully this will get posted soon. And newer, better pictures of earrings will get posted soon. See, look at how awesome that looks. Ugh. Yes. Sometimes. Really? Gosh. It must have been like the chocolate I ate as a kid or something that made me fantastic when it comes to this. Everything else in my life, not so fantastic. This, fantastic. So, yeah, I'll finish this up later this week. Go get a copy of Power by Naomi Alderman. Write her fangirl mail. Tell her how much you love her. Make her write a sequel or something, because it's a fantastic world that I want to live in. Anyways, yeah. Stay safe. Be nice to one another. Keep fighting the good fight. And peace out.